Good morning, all. Due to this coronavirus, we are starting our online lectures. In your third semester, the subject I am going to deal with is Managerial Economics. First of all, let's see the syllabus of Managerial Economics. Like your first semester and second semester, here too, you are having only 4 units. Earlier, the same syllabus was framed in 5 units, but now first and second units are merged and together they are known as Introduction to Managerial Economics and Demand Forecasting. In first part of Introduction of Managerial Economics, we will learn the introductory part of the subject and what are the areas of this subject. In the second part, known as Demand Forecasting, we will learn what will be the future demand of our product and the ways how we can know the future demand of our product. Unit number second is about production analysis. In this unit, we will know that what are the combination of inputs with the help of which we can produce given output in a least cost. The third unit is about cost analysis. In this unit, we will learn different concepts of cost and we will also know how the cost will behave in a short run and in a long run. The fourth unit is about equilibrium of firm. Equilibrium of firm means what is the maximum level of output at which firm earns maximum profit, but it differs from one market structure to another market structure. So we will know that what are the 4 different outputs for the 4 different market structure. But for today's time, we will start with our first part of our first unit, that is Introduction to Managerial Economics. Managerial economics is made up of two words, that is managerial and economics. For having a clear idea about managerial economics, let us understand these two words in deep. First is manager in managerial economics. Who the manager is. In your FY you learn that who is the manager. Manager is a person who directs resources, that are people, money, machine, etc. to achieve a stated goal. That goal can be growth, revenue, profit, etc. So who is a manager? Manager is the person who is collecting the resources. What are the resources? We can term resources as land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. We can also term resources as man, money, material, etc. Manager is collecting these resources. Why he is collecting the resources? Because he wants to convert these resources into a final output, and by that way he wants to earn the profit. That earning profit will become the goal of the manager. Secondly, it is written that who directs the efforts of followers, common people, employees, etc. In your principles of management, you learned that the definition of management is about getting things done through the people. So it is not the manager who will convert input into output, but it is the labor who will convert input into the output. Then what is the task of manager? The task of manager is to make labor to do it work efficiently and effectively. In any organization, manager will never do any physical activity. He will just guide others in doing their activities. Lastly, it is written that purchases inputs used in the production of output. It directs the product price or quality decision. What is the task of manager? Manager never do any physical work, as I said earlier. Then manager does only decision making activities. In day to day, manager is taking so many decisions, but here only two ideas are given. One is about product price and second is about quality decision. It is the manager who will decide what should be the price of our product, and it is the manager who will decide what quality should be sold to the market so that our sales can increase. Hope now you are having a clear idea about manager. Now let us move towards the economics. What is economics in managerial economics? The definition given here is, it is a science of making decisions in the presence of scarce or limited resources. You learn that Basically, there are three definitions of economics. The first definition was given by the father of economics, that is Adam Smith, and his definition was known as a wealth definition. But due to some limitation, Alfred Marshall has evolved that definition, and the second definition given by Marshall was known as welfare definition. Again, the time passes and that definition was not suffice. Due to that reason, Robbins has given the modern or latest definition of economics, and that definition is known as a scarcity definition. According to scarcity definition, resources are always limited and the need are always abundant. So what is the role of economics? To strike a balance between limited resources and unlimited one. As the scarcity definition is the latest or modern definition, managerial economics is dependent on this latest definition only. So that is what written here. It is a science of making decisions in the presence of scarce or limited resources. In any organization, it is having so many goals, like to go for expansion, to go for diversification. Any organization wants to launch a product, they want to tap international market, but all these goals cannot be satisfied at a time because the resources with the organization are always limited. They are having limited finance, they are having limited human resource. So what is the task of manager? They need to prioritize this goal one by one, and those goals which comes into the highest priority, their limited resources will be tied with that goal only. Economic decisions are important because there are trade-off between scarcity and competition. That also we have discussed, that organization is having so many goals and it is a task of manager to decide for which goal our resources should be occupied. So making these two terms together, it frames the definition of managerial economics like: it is the study to understand how to direct scarce resources such as capital, assets, people, etc., in the way that most efficiently achieves a managerial goal. See, these two parts are merged here. The first part, to understand how to direct scarce resources, is the definition of economics, and the second part, in the way that efficiently achieves a managerial goal, that is the definition of manager. We are putting these two words together. So the definition of managerial economics goes like: it is the study to understand how to direct scarce resources in a way that most efficiently achieves a managerial goal. Any manager's primary goal we can take is a profit maximization, and for profit maximization he is deciding that how a resources should be put to a particular goal so that an organization can earn maximum profit. Now let us see the second definition of managerial economics. Managerial economics is the synthesis of microeconomic theory and quantitative methods to find optimal solutions to managerial decision-making problems. This definition is given by T.J. Webster. See, this definition says that managerial economics is a combination of two subjects, or we can say two disciplines. The first subject is microeconomics and the second subject is quantitative methods. In usual terms, we say it as statistics. With the next diagram, this definition will be understood easily. Managerial economics, managerial decisions like choice of the product, choice of the production method, or choice of the price, etc. See, manager has to take day-to-day decisions, and here three examples are given: that which product a manager should launch in a market, which production technique a manager should use, or what should be the price of the product. Then nextly it is written that application of economic concept, theories and principles in decision making. This part forms a theory of economic only. Now second is application of analytical tools such as mathematical and statistical tools. This is the part we can term it as a statistics. Finally, when economics and statistics put together, it will become managerial economics, like application of economic concepts, theories, and analytical tools to find solution for managerial problems. Now, let us understand the same definition with one example. Say, for example, a manager wants to decide a price of the product. If he wants to decide price of the product, first of all, manager needs to know that in which market they are operating. You know that there are four types of market. One is perfect competition, second is monopolistic, third one is monopoly, and fourth one is oligopoly. And in all four market structure, pricing can differ. And so first of all, manager has to know that in which market they are operating. After deciding the market in which they are operating, they need to do a market research. When you will do a market research, you will collect raw data. That raw data will not be any of use to the manager. So he will put large sample test or small sample test to come to a conclusion. That large sample test and small sample test are the part of statistics. When you use these tools, you will have one figure that will be the price of your product. So ultimately, you are reaching to a solution. First of all, we have started with the problem, that price is a problem. Then for deciding the price, we have used one of the theory of economics. After using one theory of economics, we have used one of the tool of statistics. After combining these two, we reach to one solution. So we can say that managerial economics is for finding out the solution for managerial problems. Hope the definition of managerial economics is clear to you guys. Now let us move towards the nature of managerial economics. There are 7 types of nature. One is managerial economics is art and science. Second, managerial economics is microeconomics. Third one, managerial economics uses macroeconomics. Fourth one, it is a multidisciplinary. Managerial economics is prescriptive and normative discipline. Managerial economics is management oriented, and it is pragmatic. Let us understand this in one by one. This nature can also be written as characteristics of managerial economics. The first nature of managerial economics is it is art and it is also science. Before going deep into the criteria, you must know what is art and what is science. Art is anything which requires skill. In managerial economics also, models are given, but it is not like that. Manager can use it on a as it is mode. Manager needs to modify it according to the size of the organization and according to the market in which the organization is running. So it requires the skills and capabilities of manager to modify the models of managerial economy. So to that extent, we can say that managerial economic is art. The second aspect of this nature is managerial economic is science. To term any discipline as a science, we need to compare it with 3 features of science. That 3 features are written here. First one, science is a systematic body of knowledge. Managerial economics is also a systematic body of knowledge. And what kind of knowledge ME serves? ME serves the knowledge that how a scarce resources can be put to the satisfaction of the needs on a maximum way. Second criteria of science is conclusion arrives at after continuous experiment. Likewise in ME also, policies are framed after continuous tests. But there is a big difference between science and managerial economics. Science experiments are always rigid one because they are done in a physical environment, whereas managerial economics experimentation are always done in a human environment. And you know that human nature is quite unpredictable. So to that extent, managerial economics experiments are flexible one. They are also done on a testing, they are also foolproof, but it is having a room for change. The third criteria for science is principles are universally applicable. In managerial economics also, Whatever the policies are there, the policies are applicable universally. If not fully, then partially it can be applicable. It is not like that the policies are not applicable, but the thing is that it requires modification from time to time. Whatever the principle of economics were to be in use in 19th century cannot be put to use in 21st century. Principle will remain same, but it requires some modification. So after comparing with these three features of science, we can say that managerial economic is science as well. Now, moving towards the second nature of the managerial economics is microeconomics. You know that economics is basically divided into two categories. One is macroeconomic and second is macroeconomic. Let us start from the macroeconomic first. Macroeconomic is that branch of economic which is concerned with the whole economy, total economy of the country, whereas microeconomic is that branch of economy which is concerned with one unit. This one unit can be one individual, this one unit can be one business, this one unit can be one industry. See, micro is a subjective matter. If you consider industry environment only, then total industry will become macro environment, and the one business of this industry will become the micro environment. So here we are considering microeconomics from the viewpoint that it concerns only with the business aspect only. The managerial economic deals with the problem faced by the individual organization. See, it is written individual organization. Where a manager is working, manager is constantly thinking about that organization only. Manager is using economics principle for that organization only, such as main objective of the organization, demand for its product, price and output determination of the organization, available substitute and complementary goods, supply of inputs and raw material, target or prospective consumers of its product, etc. Let us take it one by one. Demand for its product. What is the demand in the market for its product? Is there any room that we can increase our demand, or what should be done to influence customers' mind to purchase our demand? That is the managers that always a manager is thinking. Secondly, price and output determination of organization. At what price organization should sell its product and how much production should be done by an organization so that maximum profit can be earned. Third one is available substitute and complementary goods. Is there any substitute available in a market for our product? If yes, then definitely it will influence negatively to the demand of our product. And is there any complementary good is available in a market? If yes, then it will increase the demand of our product in a market. Next is supply of input and raw material. A manager needs to know that whether supplier is continuously supplying raw material or not, whether raw material is qualitative one or not, because to a great extent any organization profit depends on the regularity and the quality of raw material. Next is target or prospective consumer of its product. That how many consumers are there in a market and who can be a prospective consumer of the organization, who in future will be the consumer of our organization, that a manager needs to think. So in all this idea we discussed that the center focus is the organization and this whole decision are moving around that organization only. So all in all we say that total theory of the managerial economics are applying to one organization. This one unit will become a microeconomics. So keeping this idea in mind, we say that managerial economics uses the theory of microeconomics only. Now let's move towards the third nature of managerial economics. It uses macroeconomics. In the last line of our second nature, I say that managerial economic uses theory of only microeconomics. Why? Because manager is working in the organization and organization will work as a supreme to the manager. But now it is written that managerial economics uses microeconomics. Why? Because manager is working in the organization and organization cannot run in isolation. It needs something and someone. This something and someone can be its product, its customers, its suppliers, likewise. What I want to say is an organization cannot run within the four walls. No doubt, product is produced within four walls, but you need to sell outside the four walls. You need to go in the outer environment. You need to deal with the customer. You need to deal with the marketing intermediaries. You need to deal with the government. So all these outsider will become macro environment for the organization. And with assurity, I can say that if you cannot have your eyes on the macro environment, you will totally fail in your business organization. No doubt how superior you frame your product, but if you don't know what is a market situation, definitely you are going to fail. So to that extent, we can say that manager uses macroeconomics just to observe the macro environment of a business. That is what written here. None of the organization work in isolation. They are affected by external environment of the economy. That is what I say. You need to deal with government, you need to deal with customer, you need to deal with supplier, in which it operates, such as government policies. You know that before 2 years, government has given subsidy for production of the LED bulbs. So this is the government policy which is favorable to the LED bulb industry. This government policy can work in a both the way. Sometimes it is adversely affecting our organization and sometimes it is affecting positively to our organization. Secondly, general price level. The general price level decides the level of inflation in the economy. If inflation is too high, then the real income of consumer will decrease and demand of our product will also decrease. Next is income and employment level in a economy. If income of total economy is increasing or the employment of total economy is increasing, then income of our customer will also increase and they will also demand the goods in a market. The next is stage of business cycle in which economy is operating. Business cycle simply says that there are basically four phases in a business cycle, but we can take two, that is boom and recession. In boom, demand is increasing and in recession, demand is decreasing. Then next is exchange rate. This is the factor which affects to a great extent to the businesses who are doing international business. Exchange rate is a rate at which one country's currency are exchanged in a other country's currency. Next one is balance of payment. Balance of payment is that balance sheet in which one side the inflow of foreign currency is written and on the other side outflow of foreign currency is written. The next is general expenditure. If the level of general expenditure is high, means the population of economy is believing in expanding, so they are demanding luxurious goods as well, and economy is facing a prosperous phase. The next is saving and investment pattern of consumers. You know that in India, all the people are earned and they are saved in a different way. It depends on the saving pattern of the consumers. Some consumers believe in the saving like in a rigid form. They keep saving and keep money in their room only, in their locker only. So this money will never channelize. This money will never use for the productive purpose and it will not boost up the economic activity in a country. But if you save like putting in a bank or purchasing a security of other companies, then this money is channelized and it will boost up the economic activity in a country. If happens, then the demand in the economy will increase. And last one is a market condition. What is the market condition? We know that in today's time, due to this coronavirus, that market is facing quite recession. There is no demand. Most of the people like to be at home, so there is no shopping at all. So market situation is quite adversely affecting to each and every business in a present period of time. So this is how managerial economics uses the concepts of macroeconomic just to observe the external environment, whether it is profitable or not. Now let us see the fourth nature of managerial economics. That managerial economics is multidisciplinary. What do you mean by disciplinary? Here disciplinary means it uses different subjects. How managerial economics is not only using the theory of economics. Earlier I also told you that it is a combination of two subjects. One is economics and second is statistics. But now I am saying that it is using so many subjects. That is what written here. It uses many tools and principles belonging to various disciplines such as accounting, finance, statistics, mathematics, production, operation research, human resource, etc. Now how this works, let me give one of the example. Suppose any firm wants to launch a product in a market. So first of all, they need to prepare a blueprint of the product. For having a blueprint of the product, manager needs an assistant of production department. So they are using the production. After framing a product, they need to test it in a market. For that, you are using the marketing. After testing in a market, you are doing survey, you are gathering the data, and for that you are using mathematics. After gathering the data, you are using the tools of statistics like large sample test and small sample test. So you are using another subject called statistics. After using the statistics, if this whole survey says yes for your product, you need to produce in a bulk. For that you require finance. So you are taking the help of finance. Now almost all the subjects are covered just to solve the business problems, and what we are saying that managerial economics is there to solve the problems by taking the help of almost all the disciplines. So that is how a managerial economics is multidisciplinary. Now let us see the fifth nature of managerial economics, that is prescriptive and normative discipline. Firstly, it is written that prescriptive, not descriptive. ME is not descriptive. What is descriptive? Descriptive deals with what is, whereas prescriptive deals with what should be. You know, where you have heard the word prescription. When we get ill and we meet the doctor, doctor gives us prescription, and with this prescription, our problem called disease is cured. So what is the role of prescription? It gives a solution. Likewise, managerial economics is having tools and techniques which you apply to your problem, then your problem will be solved. So we can say that the nature of managerial economics is prescriptive. And secondly, it is a normative. Normative is the opposite of positive. Positive deals with what is the objective of organization, whereas normative means what should be the objective of organization. That is what written here. Normative deals with two aspects. First is what aims, objectives a firm should pursue. It is not like that organization's objective is to earn 1 lakh by this one, but ME says organization's objective is firm should earn 2 lakh by this month. You must target higher than your capacity. Second is how best to achieve this objective in a given situation. ME taught how to set a goal, but it is now ME only who will give you tools and technique to achieve this goal. So to that extent, we can say that managerial economics is normative and ME is also prescriptive. Now let us see the sixth nature of managerial economics, that ME is management oriented. Definitely, we have started our discussion from manager only, that it is the manager who uses managerial economics. So we can say that managerial economic is management oriented. What is written here? It acts as as a tool in the hands of manager to deal with business related problems and uncertainties appropriately. It acts as tool. I earlier told that it managerial economics uses that part of microeconomic which is full of tools and techniques in the hands of manager. Manager is using the tools and techniques to solve the problems which are related with the business. You know that business is full of risk. Business is full of uncertainties. Why there is a risk and uncertainties? Because business is always moving ahead, future, moving to the future, and future is always with full of uncertainties. And due to these uncertainties, risk is there, and due to risk, we may face financial problem. You know that we can take the example of present time only, that no one has predicted that coronavirus will harm the economy to this great extent that almost all the part of economy will adversely affect. Secondly, it is written that it also provides for goal establishment, policy formulation, and effective decision making. Is the managerial economics in normative aspect? We decide that ME helps in deciding that what should be the goal of organization. So that is what written here, goal establishment. Secondly, it is written that policy formulation. In art and science nature, we discussed that managerial economics policy are universally applicable, but they are not rigid, they are flexible. Policies are already there in the microeconomics, but it is the managerial economic who teaches us how to modify it so that it can be usable in our organization. And the last one is effective decision making. Why we are using ME? Why we are using tools and techniques of managerial economics? Just to reach at the optimum solution, just to take a good decision of the organization. Now let us move towards the last nature of managerial economics, that is pragmatic. You know, the word pragmatic is new to you. Let me clear the meaning of the word pragmatic. Pragmatic means to be equipped with the tools. We are already having weapons, to be equipped with the weapons so that whenever you face a problem, you can use the weapon and you can remove your problems from your in front of your eyes. That is what written here. It is concerned with the practical problems and results. See, economics is dealing with the theoretical aspect only, whereas managerial economics is dealing with the practical aspect only. In economics, problem never comes, and in managerial economics, there is always a problem, and for solving a problem, we are using economics. And secondly, it is written that it has nothing to do with abstract economic theory, which has no practical application to solve the problems faced by business firm. That is what I told, that economics is full of theory which is having a least application in the reality, whereas the theories of managerial economics is full of practical aspect only. Is this theory works as the weapon in the hands of manager. So whenever a manager is feeling that there is a problem going on in the organization, with the theory of managerial economics, he will solve the problem. So by that way, we can say that managerial economics is pragmatic. Hope you are clear with the nature of the managerial economy. We are keeping our discussion up to this only. From next lecture, we will start the scope of managerial economics. Till the time, bye.